Valley Talk on News Talk 1580 KGAL.
And welcome to Valley Talk. I'm Dave Adams. Glad to have you with us today. And it is time, in fact, kind of a sentimental show, if you will. We've enjoyed having Robert White, an enrolled tax agent with H&R Block, here for the last, how long have you been here? About 3 months now.
Yep, started in January.
Yeah. January, February, March. Getting everybody ready for tax season, which is coming up April 15th. Today's the 9th. And so your taxes have to be filed by a week from yesterday.
Yes.
Don't forget.
It's almost as if I was joked half-heartedly at our last week that when you said, what are your recommendations? And I just joked offhand, well, if you hadn't thought about doing taxes, it might be a good idea. I think people Monday morning woke up and decided that, because yesterday it was amazing, the people just walking in and saying, oh, we need to do our taxes. And we're saying, really?
Well, you know, I got my taxes all in to my. I have a delightful accountant, Dolores Hansen, down in Myrtle Creek, Oregon. And so a week or so ago, I got my little packet in the mail that she mailed back up to me, and I was waiting for a bad day to open the packet, and I was just having all these good days. And so the other day, Dolores called me, and she said, sweetie, she calls me sweetie.
Yeah.
I love that. She goes, did you get your packet? And I said, well, sure, I'm just waiting to open it up. She goes, you need to send back the authorization form so I can do the electronic filing.
That's right.
You want to cover that?
Oh, yes, that's critical. It's called 8879. We love jargon. We love numbers. Form 8879. So anytime we file someone's return, any paper preparer, we are required to actually have a physical signature on file on paper in our records saying that you have authorized us to file it. And I do quite a few returns online for people that are in different parts of the country, but even though it's all ready to go, I can't sign it or upload it until they have sent me that form, so I have it in my file saying I can do this. Oregon is fine because Oregon will accept the federal form. But if you go, most other states have their own separate form too, and it's usually 2 copies. California, we always have to have 2 copies. I mean, just so that she's right. You may think it's done, but until you sign that form and send it back to her, it's not filed.
Yeah, I had to sign California and federal.
Yeah. That's right.
So Robert has been giving us all kinds of tax tips. We're going to continue to do it for the next hour on this show. And then our plan is to, on occasion, bring Robert back or somebody back from H&R Block as we talk about taxes mainly, and especially as we're looking at the tax penalty or what are we going to call it, the assessment for health insurance, for the Affordable Health Care Act.
We're not.
The penalty.
It's a tax, not a penalty.
Okay.
It's a tax.
That's how I got out of the Supreme Court.
Right.
It's a tax.
It is a tax.
It's a tax.
So we'll be bringing Robert back to talk about that and other things as well. So look forward to that. By the way, if you would like to win a $10 gift certificate from Quiznos in Albany, we need you to have you submit an entry to us this morning. Email me an entry, dave@kgal.com, or you can call the station at 451-KGAL, 926-KGAL. Quiznos in Albany, right next to Novak's Restaurant and across the parking lot from the former G.I. Joe Sporting Goods location. They give us a $10 gift certificate every day we do this show, and we give it away to some lucky person. So you can be in the drawing for that. Again, dave@kgal.com, or call us at 451-KGAL, 926-KGAL. At the end of the show, we'll draw a name out of the hat. That person will get the certificate, and they can have their choice of sub sandwiches, drinks, chips. The taste is on us. Quiznos in Albany. Thanks to Dale and the crew for being a part of the Valley Talk family here on KGAL. Robert, thank you very much for being with us since January. Been very interesting. I've learned a lot about taxes and a lot about the new tax law. And very interesting tax year this year, isn't it? Because of the delay in getting the rates out as they were haggling about that, and then there was a delay in getting the investment information for people that own stocks and bonds. So that kind of pushed things back a little bit.
It's just one led to the other, and I've talked to some of our peers at other companies, and we're all just we're hammered. I mean, isn't that one way to say it? But we're not. They're
not drunk.
Not exactly. We're just because everyone
Swamped.
we're swamped. That's a good word to work. We care. We're going to get especially our prior clients, and they're coming in. The clients are coming in. They're apologizing, and we say we understand. They're coming in. I know all our offices were ramping up. They were on I stopped by the office today. I'm unofficially don't work, but I was in there today. We're in there, and we're going to make sure we're covered with extra people at all our offices. We're open till 9 o'clock every night. They're going to be open on Sunday, because we know people are getting in. They're trying. We're going to try to accommodate them as much as we can, and if we don't get them filed, well, we'll talk about extensions too again.
Talk about that. Do you think you're going to have somebody come into the office April 15th, 4 o'clock in the afternoon and say, I need to file?
Yes. I've had that happen. I just remember about 4 years ago, I had someone come in the office at 5 o'clock, had to file, and they were going to have to pay. So and it wasn't a simple return. They brought in the shoebox with self-employment, and we got it finished, and we had to work out. They had to then. We timed it. We finished probably about 7, and they raced to Salem so they could get their payment postmarked by the 15th.
Because the payment, you have to mail it in.
Yeah, they owed money. So we will. I mean, we know it's going to happen. We try, and we will do our best to help. Worst case is we do an extension, but we'll try to get finished.
But folks, come on.
Yeah, please. Yes.
Especially if you have a difficult return. Let's say you and Joe and Steve and Bill and Frank and whoever else. If you're standing in a line in front of H&R Block the 15th at 4:30 in the afternoon, man, that's tough. Mm-hmm. That is tough. Don't do it on them because obviously they're going to do their best to do the best job for you.
On the other hand, don't turn down business.
Yeah,
I mean,
we'll do
if
it.
you're going to do it, come on in.
But what I'm saying is, do it now.
Yes.
Oh,
Don't
yeah.
put it off.
We are ready now. All of our offices have increased the hours, and even for the honorable opposition. I mean, our other they're doing the same thing. We have our client base, and we're working hard, and it's just things were pushed more to the end this year. And it's suddenly that people are. It's like they woke up over the weekend and they're panicking, but we're going to get it taken care of.
Mm-hmm. Let's talk about extensions. Where are we in extensions? What can they do and what should they do? Maybe they're just, I don't know. Some people, we as a nation tend to be procrastinators,
yes.
especially if we have to pay.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe they're, I don't know, possibly thinking, well, I'll just keep buying lottery tickets every day and maybe I'll win the lottery and then I'll pay my taxes that way. Mm-hmm. So let's say they've tried to do that. April 15th rolls around. Bought my lottery ticket today, didn't win, so I guess I'm going to have to do something. And they come marching down to your office with a shoebox.
Now I do tell my clients that if you do win the lottery, I will still take care of your taxes for you. I will help them out with that too.
And drive the limo, right?
Yes. Extensions, and you've heard me say this on several shows, an extension to file is not an extension to pay. First of all, all the H&R Block offices, we will file extensions for free. We do not charge a client to file their extension. Again, it is simple. We do it online, actually, for federal. Federal is an online filing. If you do not owe money, but you want to just make sure you're covering your bases, we have come in. We can file it for you online. We keep the forms in the office. Some people they're so stressed they just give me a form and we have those available. It's important though for Oregon that you cannot file an extension online, and you do need to file a written extension if you owe money to Oregon. So that's the important thing. Once again, we emphasize. A lot of people were concerned about filing late, and technically, if you're getting a refund back, there is no problem filing late, technically, because you're only penalized if you owe money. Whenever you hear penalties with regards to taxes, there's always the penalties on taxes owed. If you don't owe anything, you're not going to have any penalties or interest. We facetiously say that they just as soon not have you file because then they keep the money.
Yeah, they don't send the money.
They don't send the money unless you ask for
right.
it. And April 15th of this year is the last day to ask for money for a 2009 return. Now, we've talked before in the office, so we do this here about second looks. That's where we look at a prior year's return, and we'll do that for free. And and I'm fairly busy, so I'm not doing too many of those, but I did have a client come in and he listened to my talk, so he handed me 3 previous years' returns, and it looks like we're going to get him money. Well, one of them's a 2009, so I will do that this week.
Yeah.
So because the cutoff's coming up.
So they come with the 2008 return. Sorry, Charlie. Back of the bus.
They're not going to get yes, that's right. The 2008, they're not going to get, there's no point. No one's going to work on it quickly, or the IRS is not going to respond. So I'm telling quite a few people, these start on April 16th, these projects, the following ones. But this 2009 one, I think I'm going to find some money for the person. He did it on his own with that other competitor online, and he's definitely going to get some credit. So I want to get his turned around so he can get some money back.
You're doing a lot of advertising, H&R Block is about the second look. I've heard it, a lot of advertising, H&R Block, about that.
Okay.
How does that work?
Second look is where we will actually, it's just as it says, take a look at a return for you. We'll give you your second look at something you've completed. You bring a return in that you have completed. Some people have already filed it, some haven't. If it's a prior year, it's usually filed. And we will go through that entire return and look at it through our system. And at the end of it, if there's no difference, or I think it's $15 is the range, but if we're within $15, we will guarantee it. We will put the H&R Block guarantee on that, even though we did not prepare the return, and our guarantee means that if the IRS then comes back and says there's an error on that return, H&R Block will pay interest and penalties on that return, even though we didn't prepare it. And we would also assist if there is a letter that comes back. Assist means that an individual gets the letter, we discuss it with them, go forward.
So there's no cost to do the second look?
No cost for second look.
But you still put your stamp of approval on it.
That's right. Presumably, we're
Pretty good deal.
It is. It's a great deal. That's why people are catching on to it. I do have some clients that actually, they do their whole return, and they want us to do the second look. They then turn around and actually have us file it as is. And we have a charge for that. We also, and the ultimate goal is on a lot of these second looks, as I just mentioned, we find money for the individual that they may or do, and we have a program where we can just turn right around and amend that return for them for a pretty nominal fee, no matter how complicated. We will just turn it in and amend it and send it in for them. If it's the other way, and we tell them, you really should have paid more or something like that, ethically we tell them, well, this is the status. You really should be paying that money. We can't make you pay. We won't report you, but we're honor bound to let you know you should be doing that.
Where are most of the mistakes coming from? Let's say you take a second look at maybe the other service, which shall remain anonymous.
Anonymous, yes.
Yeah, I know you prefer to do that. So you take a second look and we found a problem. Where are you finding most of those issues?
It's a lot of times it's on the credits, tuition credits for students, or the parents not knowing they could claim tuition credits for their children. It usually has to do with credits, or there's a lot of interesting subtractions in Oregon too. If people give money to certain organizations, or if they do extra work, or they help people, there are numerous either subtractions, which is just reduction in income, or credits that are available, and there's no way that the common person could be aware of all of them. On our program, I punch a button, it pulls out this large list, and I said, for example, did you common was rural practitioners, physicians who work in rural areas and give up their time. They are given a credit for that work. But I've had
travel credit or time.
Just it's if they are certified by the state that they are donating or putting a certain amount of time into a rural area. It's where they could obviously make more money if they work somewhere else. Then the state gives them a credit. But I actually had a physician that didn't know that. So it's my job. Donations. People don't know crop donations. If you give food if you give food and get a receipt. Gleaners are an example. Anytime you give money or give food to a group, that's a donation. Well, that's a credit. But people don't, so it's my job to have a discussion with my clients. What are they doing? How are they doing this? And I go through this list of things, and they said, really, we could do that? And I said, that's why you come to see me.
Let's say you're a farmer or rancher and you let people come in and glean your field. How do you put a dollar value on that?
I'm not sure how they establish the value, but the gleaners will sometimes do that. They have methods. I mean, they're established. And it's a donation. It makes sense. If you're going to help your people out, then the feeling is then you should get some, if not a direct benefit, or at least a partial benefit through your taxes. And that's, I think it's an excellent concept.
501c3 and charitable giving, charitable donations, has that changed this year?
I don't believe so. I haven't seen anything special, but we had that one show on it. The key thing is if anyone's making donations, remember it is an established nonprofit, like a 503, those
Right.
the various categories, and that they're current. And I know you had an example of one that you pulled up that said right at the very bottom, we are a
501c3.
501c3, and that's important. Overseas donations do not count unless they are channeled through a domestic one. So you always want to make sure that if you're going to give money, and I'm not saying don't give money to people or organizations, but realize not all donations are deductions.
So let's say Uncle Buck starts a church. Uncle Buck is your long-lost uncle.
Yes.
And Uncle Buck has a church. And it's the Church of the Uncle Buck, I guess. I'm just being facetious.
Okay, sure.
But he's not a registered 501c3. And, well, I gave, donation Uncle Buck's church. Let's say it's, let's get serious now. I was being very flippant here, but let's get serious. Let's say, for example, and there's a move in the Christian community to do a lot of home churches, a lot of home fellowship, home gatherings,
Yes.
and they take a donation and so on and so forth. So let's say Uncle Buck has a home church. I hate to pick on Uncle Buck, but he's a nice guy, so we'll pick on him. So, and they take donations and so on and so forth, put money in the offering, and let's say it's a gathering of 10 people, home church, Uncle Buck's church. They meet every Sunday morning, and they've done it for, let's say, a couple of years.
Okay.
But they're not a registered 501c3, but they do have a history of, they're established, they have their Sunday meetings, they go out and mow people's grass, and they're an established church, I guess is what I'm trying to define. But they don't have that 501c3 ticket.
You should feel good about helping them out, but you won't get a benefit on your taxes.
All right.
That's the nonprofits, which is the other broad category. General nonprofits are still required to file, and if they don't file, and we had this discussion that these nonprofits are doing wonderful things, and usually the boards are made up of volunteers, and they don't realize they have to file in the 990 form, this nonprofit form.
Right.
And if they miss 3 years in a row, they can lose their status as a nonprofit. So it's a real difficulty for the small nonprofit organizations. They're barely hanging on. They're helping people, and then on top of that, they have to somehow keep track of tax code on the side.
Right. So Uncle Buck appreciates your donation, but don't try to take it off your taxes.
Exactly. And the real reason is that it's to avoid scams and people cheat. And actually, if you may find it odd, but it's been known that people have cheated on their taxes before.
Are there any? I don't want to keep it. Really?
Yeah, I know.
Never heard of that
It's
one.
hard to believe.
Are there any scams out there where people are looking for charitable donations and they see something on the internet, for example, donate to this? You see a lot of charitable, I get a lot of emails from charities saying, don't forget to donate to this organization, especially now that they're really the donations are down, they're really out there asking for the donations. So you see something on the internet, donate to XYZ Church in Biloxi, Mississippi, and you don't know XYZ Church from Adam. And boy, I really need some donations. And so you just give to that. And, because you need the donation. And you look at their website, they look like a pretty good church.
Well, if it's on the internet, it must be true.
Okay, that's my point.
Yeah.
So let's say you donate it, you get all this information, you get the 501c3 number, you put it, give it to you at H&R Block. Everything's well and good. But let's say it's a scam. Let's say XYZ Church in Biloxi is somebody, boiler room operation, and they're just out for your money. So what happens if it's not a legitimate 501c3 and you thought in good faith that it was?
I don't know. That's an honest answer.
question.
I think if they've sent you something in writing and saying they are, then I would be very surprised if anything came back on you, because it would go on them for false.
Yeah. So what happens to the tax return? Do they get a kickback from that letter from? You go out to the mailbox and you get this letter from the IRS. And you open it up and it says that this organization, the numbers don't match or whatever. This is not a valid 501c3. Do they recompute your taxes? Do they say what happens when they kick it back like that?
It depends on the type of letter. It could be that we're seeing more letters now where they just ask for initial information. We just need a clarification. We need documentation. We're seeing this a lot from the state right now.
State of Oregon?
Yes, just in general, because when you file electronic, there's no paperwork going in. It's all, and so we're seeing cases where if there is this type of thing, they might simply, we need some documentation on, or just that simple. Just they want some kind of proof or paperwork. So if the first thing you do if you get the letter, you come and see H&R Block. Anytime you get a letter, don't ignore those letters. And I have some people say they don't even want to open them for a few days because they're afraid of them.
But then what do you say?
Well, then I go through and read it, and we'll say if they need more information, or they say it's this charity we're talking about. I'll say okay.
Yeah.
I'll say, remember I told you that you need to keep copies of everything when you make a donation.
Right.
Keep copies. Let's see your copies, and we will fax them into the IRS and go from there.
Because they don't like to be ignored, because they get their
feelings heard. Yes.
Yes.
That's right.
That's kind of a funny way of saying they want their money, and they can find you, especially with everything on the internet and electronically filed. They can track you down.
But they will, if you provide an explanation, they accept it. More often than not, if you can document it, show it, they accept it.
All right. We're here with Robert White, an enrolled tax agent with H&R Block, and of course John Gibson. John, you know what? We kind of got out of step here.
Yeah.
What's going? We kind of just rolled into tax questions.
Well, it's
Robert.
6 days away, so that's understandable.
Yeah, there you go. So what's going on? There's a lot going on in the international scene right now. We're going to get back to more with Robert White and H&R Block and some of the tax tips before next Monday, or this coming Monday's April 15th filing deadline. A lot going on in the world scene, the economic scene. Question I've got for you is the North Korea saber rattling. There's a lot of concern. For a few days there, they were saying, don't worry, North Korea's always been making these threats. Now, as you look at the news and listen to the news on the radio and online and so on and so forth, you're seeing that people are getting concerned about that. What about the stock market? Are they concerned about North Korea?
Well, they're concerned about North Korea. They're more concerned right now about Alcoa and earnings reports. This is the start of the earnings reporting season, and we've seen numerous revisions downward leading up to this time. And Alcoa came in and beat on their earnings per share, but their revenues were light, and so that means that basically that the price of aluminum is down. So we're looking at a stock market prediction anywhere from a 6% increase on profits for the S&P 500 all the way to a 1.6% decrease. Last quarter we had a decrease in earnings and profitability. So we're seeing an economy slow down, and yet we're seeing a stock market hitting all-time highs. And so there's a disconnect there. There's a bubble. And the bubble is the amount of money that's being pumped into the banking system from the Federal Reserve to keep the interest rates low, trying to spark the housing industry. So this is a situation where you're running an economy on artificial stimulation. And so to get any return, you have to be in the stock market, and I am in the stock market. I have a lot of money in the stock market. So I'm not telling you to jump out. But there's going to come a point of a correction, and I wouldn't be surprised to see maybe even a 10% correction. Stock market is still lower price to earnings ratios. It normally trades at 14.5%. The S&P 500 is trading at about 13.5% right now, so it's undervalued. But there's vast concern about, number one, our domestic policy fiscally, pumping this money into the banks, $85 billion a month. But what happens if Egypt falls off the map, or what happens if North Korea, like you said, falls off the map? Now, North Korea
shoots at us.
April 10th is a big date for North Korea, and April 25th, I think it is the anniversary of the end of the North Korea conflict, I guess it was. So those are the two dates that we're worried about. We've even canceled an ICBM missile test yesterday because we don't want to provoke North Korea. We're changing our military stuff because of North Korea. So things are pretty shaky. And while I wouldn't get out of the market, I would have some sell orders in to where you could execute them quickly if you wanted to. It's always good to have puts and stops in. If you have an investment, a stop is just you put in a price to where if your stock goes down so much, it automatically sells. Well, the problem with that, if a hint of bad news comes out and your stock plummets, and then it turns out that was not bad news, it was a false thing, you're out. So be careful. But it's very shaky right now, and I would not be surprised to see, at least, I don't expect to see more continued all-time highs. But for the next month, we could see a couple. But coming into the end of the year, if the second half of the year doesn't produce double-digit growth, then we're in trouble.
And I'm looking right now at some information about North Korea. North Korea, this on CNN and Fox News, North Korea actions called clear and direct threat to U.S. security. North Korea, it will be all-out war, is one of the things they're saying. They're making some noise.
Well, if you think about it, you have Russia with Iran as their puppet, and then you have China with North Korea as their puppet. And those are the two people that we're really fighting. North Korea and Iran are just the puppets. It's really the same old China and Russia. And what if China takes Taiwan? What are we going to do with that? Who knows? We're testing Syrian ground right now to see if they really did launch chemical weapons. That was apparently a line in the sand. Will Obama strike? That's the question.
One of the questions I've got, and please don't, I'm not a warmonger, so please don't understand that, but in the past, has it been that war is good for the economy?
Nobody likes war.
I know.
Nobody likes war.
The loss of life, please understand,
but
the loss of life is objectionable. We need to do everything we can do to prevent it, but as far as just the folks on Wall Street looking at dollars and cents.
If you have a free market, you have got to have discipline. And if you don't have the discipline, then you're going to have chaos. And so, in a strange Orwellian, you have to have order. And you can either have good order, where people have rights and freedoms, and women can drive cars, and wear a bikini if they want, or you can have bad order, and you can have really rigid rules, and you have to be at a certain place at a certain time. And I kind of like our way.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry.
Now, let me state emphatically, before I get phone calls and emails, I am not encouraging war with North Korea or war of any kind. A loss of life would be detestable, objectionable, and every which way you cut it, it's a bad deal. But that was a question I had simply from the economic standpoint of it. So hopefully it doesn't happen.
Well, that's the whole purpose of our military, is to defend our economic way of life, and our freedom and our ability to give Robert $20 to do my taxes, so he can go spend $10 at Home Depot, $15 or $5 at McDonald's, and put $5 in his IRA. That's the whole
$10
purpose.
at Quiznos.
Oh, Quiznos, you're right,
yes,
right.
Very
Quiznos.
good, Robert.
You're on board.
And actually, I'm going there afterwards.
You're going to hit my pay grade here pretty quick. But yeah, it's a very serious thing. And while everything right now domestically is okay and the stock market is like puttering along, doing okay, anything overseas is quite serious. And we're now perceived as weak, okay? I mean, you didn't see this stuff in other administrations, even with Clinton. Clinton was pretty liberal with the military in some cases, and you have to be willing to say, yes, I will hit you if you keep poking me in the ribs, and that's what we're going to have to do.
My phone's already ringing, by the way, in the background. Anything else from the stock market we need to talk about?
No, I just think that I would not be surprised to see maybe a correction. Don't panic if you see a 5 or 6% correction.
More on Valley Talk here in just a moment. Don't forget to sign up for Quiznos Taste on Us, and you can do that by sending me an email, dave@kgal.com, or calling the station at 451-KGAL, 926-KGAL. In 25 minutes, we'll be giving away another $10 gift certificate, and you can go over there and eat lunch with Robert here as he enjoys the good food at Quiznos. Robert is an enrolled tax agent at H&R Block, and we'll be talking more about taxes this year on Valley Talk in just a moment.
This is Jeff Davis, and since 1975, our family has owned and operated Davis Glass, providing old-fashioned service with high-quality products. We are thrilled to offer Milgard's Essence Series windows featuring a solid wood interior and strong fiberglass exterior. It's the only wood window backed by a full lifetime warranty with glass breakage coverage. Let our family help your family by visiting us in downtown Albany, going online at davisglass.net, or calling 541-926-1962, CCB 13180.
2 stages, 22 shows, one sweet weekend. The Oregon Jamboree in Sweet Home, presented by South Pacific Auto Sales, is turning 21. And we're celebrating with Toby Keith, Luke Bryan, Wyoko, Kip Moore, Jared Neiman, and so many more. August 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. Get tickets at early bird prices right now. The Oregon Jamboree, presented by South Pacific Auto Sales.
Don't miss the 2013 Lebanon Chamber Biz Expo, April 16th at the River Center, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Samples, demonstrations, free shredding from 2 to 4. Prizes awarded every 15 minutes, over $3,000. 140 vendors, free admission, and guaranteed fun. The 2013 Lebanon Chamber Biz Expo, Tuesday, April 16th. So mark your calendar to come early and stay late. Sponsored by Linco Federal Credit Union.
When my dad, Mark Hemstreet, founded Shiloh Winds over 37 years ago, he made it a point to cater to women who travel on business. I'm Stacy McDonald with a special message for the women business traveler. Just imagine checking into a Shiloh Suite hotel. Hair dryers, makeup mirrors, luxurious bedding with quality sheets and plenty of pillows, a wet bar, microwave, refrigerator, and in-room coffee maker. And when you're ready, so are the pool, spa, steam, sauna room, and fitness center. A complimentary breakfast awaits you at most Shiloh Inns, along with free internet. From security to friendly, efficient Shiloh employees, we're here to make your business travel something special. We call it Shiloh's Affordable Excellence. Call 800-222-2244 or visit shilohwinds.com.
Deep clean, squeaky clean, that's what you want for your home and business. TM Janitors has been providing just that for years throughout the Mid-Valley. Glowing reports from Paloma, North Albany, Corvallis, Lebanon. Happy, satisfied clients. Great value, too. A fraction of the price of the national franchises. Get a quote from TM Janitors today. Mention this ad and get $50 off your initial deep cleaning. Call now, TM Janitors, 570-9711. Make a note, TM Janitors, 570-9711.
The news you need, smart talk, and just enough sports. That's what you'll get from News Talk 1580, KGAL.
This is Valley Talk. We are talking taxes with Robert White, enrolled tax agent with H&R Block. And one of the things that came up, and of course John Gibson, our average investment guys in the studios today, we had some rather sobering talk about North Korea and what's going on in the stock market, and a lot of that. I was waiting for to see what happens, and we'll deal with it when it does. But Robert, one of the things, speaking of military action and things happening overseas, if you're a member of the military, you're telling me that you have an automatic extension. How does that work?
You can I don't have the specifics in front of me, but I believe it's up to 180 days. It's just because we recognize, we meaning the IRS, recognizes if someone's out there defending our country, they can't be worried about did I file my taxes today or not on time. So they are granted extensions, and they don't have to file the extension. They are just given that amount of time to get their taxes in. And we have other people. Someone's working overseas. I actually was sending an email before I came over. I have a client that's in Africa, and they worked there, and we're talking about the extension. They thought they were going to make it back in early June. If you're overseas, working overseas, that doesn't absolve you from having to pay taxes on earnings, especially from the United States. But anyone overseas can have an automatic 60-day extension. They don't have to file. They just attach a letter to their return, as long as they file within that 60 days, which is June 15th, that they were overseas. And they met the reasons why. And they actually get an extension to pay. They don't have to pay until June 15th. But if they don't pay, they still are not absolved from interest on that money. Everything's still focused on April 15th. It's when April 15th, If any money you owe, if there's potential interest owed on that. But I contacted them yesterday. They sent me an email back. They're not going to make it till July or later. So this afternoon I'll go back and I will file an extension for them. They've already given me a letter of authorization to do it, and we'll do it. So we've been talking about extensions, filing extensions. Now remember, once you file an extension, you still have to come in and file the return. I mean, the extension just puts everything on hold till October 15th.
So let's say I call you on the phone April 15th, 4 o'clock in the afternoon. We're using that as an example. Hey, Robert, you sound like a nice guy. I need to file an extension. Do it.
I need you to sign something, faxed or anything. I have to have your permission to do it, to act on your behalf. And this is presuming I've already have your records. And
so I have to sign something in paper or give you a signed paper document, or can you do something online?
I have people that are scanning email and say, thank you for computers. I send these documents. I send, please scan and email it back to me or fax it back to me, but I need to have a signature on file because I'm dealing with your personal situation, issues. And so we go from there.
So it's not, you can't just promise to give you authorization. Oh, just do it now and I'll get it when I'm, let's say I'm out in the field, it's 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Oh, forgot my taxes. I don't know who's going to do that, but some people might.
Oh yeah, it'll happen.
Yeah. Can you file it, and when I get back to the office, I'll fax you an authorization?
No.
Okay.
Not. If we were to do it, then we're really putting ourselves out in jeopardy. Okay. Yes.
Can I ask an IRS question?
Sure. I can talk to the IRS.
Okay. How do they calculate the interest? I mean, do they just pick a number? Is it tied to the prime rate?
It's actually that's a good question. There is a published interest rate, and it's low. It might be tied to the prime because it's around 3%. It's fairly low, and we get a published table called the factors, and calculating interest owed on a federal return is relatively simple for us because we have this table, and you can pick when your return was originally supposed to be due and when you're going to pay, and then we very nicely look up this number on the table and multiply that times the tax owed, and that's the interest on it. The interest is not on the penalty; it's on the tax owed. Oregon is just incredibly more complicated in doing it. They have different interest rates for different years, and then you have to calculate, and they have daily rates and monthly, so you have to calculate all those out for the interest part. So it's pretty easy but we do it, and it's important to when someone submits something late to let them know that.
That we've covered extensions thoroughly. Anything that we want to mention that we haven't talked about yet?
Again, the important point is, once you've finished, don't put off a long time to come in and actually do the return. Yes, you have till October 15th, but it's amazing how many people we suddenly start getting 2 days before October 15th, they're coming in to finish their return. We much prefer to do it before that. And if you will, and you need to know that if you owe money when you're even after you've filed extension, there will be interest due on that return.
People, we had cash for clunkers, and we had various other stimulus programs. People didn't realize that the money that they got for like their car was taxable income, right?
Yeah.
Are there any of those not secret, but are there any of those programs out there this year that people don't realize that they owe money on that?
No, I haven't seen any too much in those programs. Some people may not realize if you get a refund from maybe you filed an amended return from prior years and the IRS they owe you quite a bit of money. Well, they'll pay you the interest on that money they were holding, just as they would have charged you interest if you owed them. Now, of course, you're going to have to pay taxes on that interest. That's income. The most common one that I run into that surprises people is what's called when someone gets a cancellation of debt.
I was going to ask that question, like
credit card's the most common.
Or let's say their house, large investment, and maybe they've been fighting with the bank, and the bank has written it off and forgiven the debt. All of a sudden, you've got maybe you've got $80,000 on your home owed, and the bank's forgiven you that. that's $80,000 to your benefit that you have to report on your
potentially. Yes, initially, and it depends. It's very complicated on that particular issue. It just depends on how they report it. Whether it's the full part is considered a gain or income, or part of it is. It's how it's secured. So that's something I wouldn't want to go into too much detail now. But the more common one that I find is maybe more alarming is where you see these banks say, we will forgive your credit card debt. And I see this often, and people say, and then they get the card saying, the notice is called a 1099-C, cancellation of debt. That is income, and it can be quite large. It can be small, and the way we can work around that, if people don't know any better, they often will report that as total income. Mm-hmm. The actual regulation is that on the day before that debt is canceled, we determine they measure your insolvency, your state of insolvency. Now that means, do you owe more money than you have? And a lot of times that's the case, because part of the debt is maybe the amount that's forgiven. And so you are only required to pay taxes on that portion of the amount forgiven that is greater than your insolvency. So simplified example, maybe you've had $10,000 of credit card debt canceled. We go through and we do this worksheet, and we determine that with that included, maybe you are really $20,000 insolvent. A very good example of people have all these huge student loans. This is and they have no assets because they're just out of college. They're in apartments. They racked up all these credit card bills, and they're paying all their loans, and they'll sign up these quick programs to get their debt considered. So a lot of these people, they have large student loans. They really are insolvent. So if you had $20,000, I'm using $20,000 insolvent, $10,000 canceled debt, they will not pay any taxes on that canceled debt. Now, let's say you have a case where you got that $10,000, but you own a home, so you have some assets in there, and you are not insolvent. Or maybe you're insolvent $5,000, the debt was $10,000, you will pay taxes on $5,000. So what I tell my clients, you get something, don't panic, let's go through it and look at the numbers and see if we're going to be able to help you.
Talking to Robert White, enrolled tax agent with H&R Block. We're running a little bit behind on our breaks, so let's go to it, and we'll be right back here with Robert and John Gibson here on Valley Talk.
The Osgood File, sponsored in part by Cassidy Turley. Discover clarity in commercial real estate. Discover the value of market intelligence. In other words, discover Cassidy Turley. This is Charles Osgood. More and more Americans are living farther and farther away from the place where they work, and spending more and more of their day getting to work in the morning and getting back home at night. Statistically, says our CBS News colleague Chip Reed in Washington,
the number of mega commuters, those who travel at least 50 miles and 90 minutes each way, is growing. There are nearly 600,000 in the U.S.
A day in the life of a mega commuter after this.
Ron Delano, attorney, Houston. Attention, mesothelioma patients. If you or a loved one were exposed to asbestos years ago, this may be the cause of your mesothelioma lung cancer. Billions of dollars have been set aside to compensate mesothelioma sufferers, and you may be entitled to a tax-free share of that money, even if you're simply a family member. Make a free call to 800-764-3000 right now to learn more. Ask for your free mesothelioma information kit. Compensation to pay for medical bills and treatments may be available. Many mesothelioma patients were exposed to asbestos and didn't even know it. Secondhand asbestos exposure can also cause this mesothelioma cancer. Your asbestos exposure history needs to be investigated, and the first step is a free consultation. Don't wait. Call now. 800-764-3000. If you've been diagnosed with mesothelioma, find out about your legal rights and possible financial compensation. Mesothelioma cancer patients, get help now. The call and the information are free. 800-764-3000. 800-764-3000.
With Chip Reed, we take you now to the Blue Ridge Mountains of Virginia, where wildlife biologist Leslie Cordella and her husband Demetrio live.
It's 4 a.m. and Leslie Cordella is already dressed.
It is very early.
And about to walk out the door.
Okay, I'm ready to go.
She's been up since 3:30.
Bye, honey.
Bye-bye.
See you later.
Quite a bit later, actually, starting with a 15-minute drive, says Chip Reed.
She parks her car and trudges onto a bus with other hardcore commuters.
Most of whom, like her, have government jobs in Washington. Leslie is a wildlife biologist. She loves the job, but not urban or suburban living.
You like the country?
I like wilderness and the country.
Finally, at 6:20, Cordella exits the bus for a 10-minute walk to the office. Total travel time, 2 hours and 20 minutes.
And another 2 hours and 20 minutes at the end of the day, getting back home. Her husband, Demetrios, says,
the plan has always been to do it for as long as we can stand it, and then try to find something else.
Something else, some other job, that is, not some other home.
So she would love to be closer to home if she could.
Absolutely.
It would be great. It would be great.
Yeah.
I do have a great job. I love it, but it would be great.
If Leslie could find a new job that would suit her, she just might quit being a mega commuter. The Osgood File. Charles Osgood on the CBS Radio Network.
When you look out across the Willamette Valley, you'll see plenty of banking choices. Willamette Community Bank is here to give you an option that's pretty unique, like no other, in fact. Hi, this is Sue Kalina, Relationship Manager. Willamette Community Bank provides an alternative to large national and regional banks by offering customized financial services and local decision-making to benefit local people, local families, and local businesses. How many banks can say that?
Willamette Community Bank, service like no other. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
I will never forget the day my son Jeremy told me he hated me and slammed the door in my face. I'm behavioral therapist Janet Lehman. Behavior problems can turn the child you love and your life into a nightmare. That's why my husband James and I created the Total Transformation, the step-by-step program that shows you how to fix the worst behavior problems and get your child to respect and listen to you again. No matter what the behavior, defiance, backtalk, angry outbursts, disrespect, we can help you stop it. Now you can get the Total Transformation for free. All you need to do is get the program and let us know how it works for you. You can keep it forever for free.
Limited number of free programs available. Call now. 1-800-326-2414. 1-800-326-2414. That's 1-800-326-2414. 1-800-326-2414.
Get tomorrow's news tonight. John Batchelor, Sunday through Friday nights on Smart Talk 1580.
This is Valley Talk. Robert White, enrolled tax agent with H&R Block in the studios. John Gibson, our average investment guy, is here with us every Tuesday. Glad you're with us on the show. Don't forget to sign up for Quiznos Taste on Us. We've got another 8 minutes yet to do. Dave at KGAL.com. Call the station, 926-KGAL, 451-KGAL. We were talking during the break, and just before we went to break, you're using this example of was it on the air or off the air? Let's say you got a $12,000 tractor that was given to you as a gift. You won it.
It was a sweepstakes. It wasn't a gift. It was a sweepstakes, yes.
Okay. So let's say you're preparing my taxes. I came in and I won a $12,000 lawn tractor from a business. They didn't report it, and I know they didn't report it to the IRS. And I say, well, I got this, but I don't want you to report it.
You need to go back and talk to them and see, are you considering this a gift? Is this a winning? Is that type of, how they're treating it? Our tractor, most sweepstakes as an example, you receive a 1099 miscellaneous, which means they've reported to the IRS that that this is an award type situation. As the example we just gave, I came with the value of the item we won, looked up the values, resale values. I reported on my income tax, paid taxes on it. It was never reported to the IRS that I had won it, but I was
good for you.
I was very honorable.
However, what I'm trying to mention is if you tell your tax preparer, then they are duty bound by law that if you are not honest with them, they cannot sign it because they know something that needs to be reported. They won't report you, but they cannot sign off on your return saying that they prepared it.
And that's why I mentioned if we, on that particular case, let's say someone that's even a lower value, if someone's been given a gift, that's not considered a taxable event. But most sweepstakes and awards are not gifts. And that's why they're reported. So I'm going to go have a lengthy discussion with my client about now exactly what was the nature of how you received this. And if they come back, well, maybe it was a gift or maybe it wasn't supposed to be reported, I'm going to document that in my records. And so...
Sure. Now, isn't there a $10,000 limit on gifts?
It's actually 13.
13,000 now?
It's 12, 13. Okay. Up to 13 now.
Okay. We need to take one more quick break. We'll be right back on Valley Talk.
Going out to lunch at a nice restaurant can be expensive, and the big portions put you more in the mood for a nap than a productive afternoon. Mama's Fine Italian to the rescue. The small appetite senior menu is just right. Anyone and everyone is invited to order from the Light Appetites menu for lunch from 11 to 4 p.m. with tasty entrees beginning at only $3.95. Why go hungry or go anywhere else for lunch? Eat healthy, eat light at Mama's. Closed Sunday and Monday, so make the most of Tuesday through Friday and join your friends at Mama's for lunch. Dinner only on Saturday. Mama's features charbroiled steaks every day. Make reservations for dinner or pick up a bottle of fine wine. Seating is limited, so please call for reservations. 541-451-5050. That's 451-5050. Mama's Fine Italian and Wine Shop on West Oak between Main and 2nd in Lebanon, across from the Big Blue Napa Auto Parts building.
Steve Holy brings his hot country sound live in concert to the Lake County Fairgrounds, Saturday, July 20th.
Good morning, beautiful.
Concert is free with your general admission ticket. Limited reserve seating is just $15.
That was wonderful. I got a brand new girlfriend.
Steve Holy. Go online to LinnCountyFair.com to purchase your tickets today.
Do you suffer from bleeding gums, loose teeth, or bad breath? Dr. Dennis Clark can help. With gently applied laser light, bacteria are killed and diseased tissue removed, which means less inflammation and a fast, comfortable return to firmer teeth and a normal routine. Dr. Clark has been gently caring for his Mid-Valley patients for 25 years.
Hello, this is Dr. Dennis Clark. We do offer a full range of services, smile makeovers, oral surgery, and Invisalign wireless braces. But you don't have to leave your favorite dentist to get this amazing solution to your gum problem. I will gladly work with your dentist to help you with your gum problem without changing dentists.
Dr. Clark's skillful use of laser periodontal therapy will dramatically help. Bleeding gums heal, loose teeth tighten, the bone even grows back. For a free consultation about the no-cut, no-sew, no-fear solution for infected gums, loose teeth, and bad breath, call the Laser Dentist. Dr. Dennis Clark in Lebanon at 451-1440. 451-1440.
Meet the Johnson family. While they enjoyed their vacation last summer, their lawn was getting greener by the minute. They played while the Weed Man made their yard beautiful. Now's the time to schedule your vacation, and don't forget about your lawn. It's moss and insect control time. The Weed Man, always safe for your pets and kids. Call 917-3394. 917-3394.
Call the Weed Man by April 15th and schedule a free liming application worth up to $100. Call 917-3394.
Jim Bohannon, weeknights on News Talk 1580, KGAL.
And back again on Valley Talk. Robert White, it's been a pleasure to have you on for the last 3 months. 3 months and a couple shows.
Yep.
And we look forward to having you back again on the show in the future talking about
fishing or hunting or whatever. Fun.
I guess the next thing we want to talk about is the tax if you don't have health insurance. That's going to be interesting as we come
see how that comes out. The other thing I do want to emphasize, we are year-round. I know some people think that we're just a 4-month event, but the tax issues, the letters start coming out, the responses, the replies, that's what we're doing the spring and the summer, because everyone sent their returns in. Well, if there is a correction or an adjustment, those start coming out in April, May, and June. So the point is we are there year-round. Our policy is we do not charge for consultation or advice for people to come in and talk to us, and we look forward to seeing them. I like to also tell people, sometimes we get lonely, want to visit.
And thank you for not having somebody out on the sidewalk jumping around. Every time I see that, I think, oh, God, I got to go home and do my taxes, and it just depresses me. So thank you for being professional.
Hey, thanks for being with us. Let's tell you what's coming up tomorrow on the show. Tomorrow, it's Vet Talk. It's the second Wednesday of the month. The Victor Coons will be in the studios, as well as Dave Pouch. And they're going to be talking about homes for veterans. We'll be interested in finding out more about that. Coming up on the 11th, this Thursday, we're going to be live at the Lynn Benton Community College Career Fair here on Valley Talk. So looking forward to that and talking to the folks about all things career-oriented, what you need to look for, what kind of jobs are out there, and what's available for education to help you get a better job. Robert White, thank you for being with us. John Gibson as well. And hopefully we'll have some bright, cheery news from John next Tuesday here on Valley Talk about how we're all making money.
Yes.
Have a great day. I'm Dave Adams, and hope you've enjoyed this version of H&R Block Tax Tips on Valley Talk.
Good. Your first choice in local news, sports, and smart talk. This is News Talk 1580 KGAL, Lebanon, Albany, Corvallis.